Hello class, so we'll be looking at the second set of problems dealing with circle geometry. Alright, so here we are focusing on when two chords are intersecting inside of the circle. So let's look at number one for a second. Here we have those two chords given, and this is 87 degrees and BD is 35. What is the measure of CEA? CEA, let's call this one as X. And how do you figure out the measure of the angle? Angle formed by two intersecting chords, can be given by the sum of the two intersected arc, 87 plus 35, divided by 2. Then, in this case, when you add them up, we'll end up getting 142 over 2, so therefore our answer becomes 71 degrees. 122, sorry. Should be 122. Therefore, 61 degrees. Our answer is choice number 2. Alright, let's look at the second question here. Same idea, AC is 75 degrees and then DV is 45 degrees. Now, what are we looking for? AED. AED. Notice that in this case, the measure of the angle that we are looking for is not the intercept accompanied by the intercepted arcs, but rather it will be supplementary angle. So what if I were to call this angle as A? Then A can be found in the same manner as to the previous question. So 75 plus 45 over 2. Now here becomes 120 over 2. Therefore, A will be equal to 60 degrees. But since A is equal to 60, X has to be 180. Supplementary angles between A and X. So therefore, we end up getting 180 minus 60. The answer must be 120 20 degrees. Alright, let's look at number 3. Same relationship here. We have 4x's in the middle between 2x and the 120. Then what we end up getting is 4x must be equal to 120 plus 2x all over 2. How are we going to figure out the value of x? I can put it over 1 and then cross multiply. So therefore we have 120 plus 2x must be equal to 8x. Then of course subtracting by 2x, then we end up getting 120 is equal to 6x. Dividing it by 6, we end up getting x equals 20. Therefore 20 becomes our answer. Number 4. Here AB is the 64 degrees, and then angle AEB. AEB, which is this angle, has to be 52 degrees. And we want to find out the measure of the arc CD. In this case, the unknown is outside, but still the formula stays the same. Not that x equals, but we're going to have 52 equals. Because angle that's formed by two intersecting chords has to be equal to 64 plus x over 2. Now, then once again by cross multiplication, we get 104 is equal to 64 plus x. How do you find x? Subtracting 64 from both sides, x will be equal to 40. Therefore 40 degrees will be the measure of the arc. Number 5. For this question, one thing that's interesting is it gave us the ratios. If the curved circle, a curved edge of the larger shaded section is 1/4 of the circumference. So this is 1/4. That means 1/4 of 2 pi, or 1/4 of, in fact, it will be 360 becomes 90 degrees. And then smaller one is 1/5 of the circumference. So 1/5 of 360 becomes 72. Then how do you find the value of x? Then in this case we can say 90 plus 72 over 2. So therefore, yes, this becomes 162 over 2. Therefore, value of x becomes 81 degrees. We're looking at 81, which is choice number 3. Alright, so in this case, what if we have secant and tangent line, or sometimes two secant lines? The relationship is outer minus inner divided by 2, but in this case, let's try to look into this one. Here, if measure of arc ADC, that is twice of AB, that means I can call this one as 2x, and then I can call this one as x. And the measure of the angle P is 50. What is the measure of arc AB, which is x? And one thing which we can calculate this one is 2x minus x over 2. This is the formula for finding the angle formed by secant lines or secant and tangent lines. Has to be equal to 50. Then once again, by putting it over 1, when you cross multiply, we end up getting this portion is simply x, because 2x minus x becomes x, must be equal to 100 degrees. So therefore, C becomes our answer. Number 7. Here QT, that portion becomes 140 degrees, and angle P is 40. Find RS. So why don't I call that as x? Once again, it's not that x equals, but if you have to write off the relationship using 40 equals, then the formula stays the same. There it goes, 140 minus x over 2. Outer minus inner divided by 2 becomes the angle formed by secant and or tangent. So here we have, putting it over 1, we have 80 is equal to 140 rather, minus x. Then x simply becomes 140 minus 80, which is equal to 60. X equals 60, right over here. Number 8. The accompanying diagram shows two lengths of the wire attached to the wheel, as you can see here. Now, if major arc of BC has the measure of 220, then find the number of degrees in angle A. Let's call this one as x. If this one is 220, what is the inner portion? Because whole thing is 360. So therefore this must be equal to 140. Basically 360 minus 220. Then the value for x becomes x equals outer, which is 220, minus inner, which is 140, divide whole thing by 2. Then here we end up having 80 over 2. Therefore x becomes 40. 40-degree angle will be our answer. Number 9. Two tangents PA and PB are drawn to circle O. So why don't I draw the circle O here for a second, and then I'll say PA okay, how about this? So here we have PA and PB. If the measure of the major arc AB is 250, now find the measure of angle P. Once again, if this is 250, what do you realize about the minor arc? That's right, 360 minus 250 becomes 110. So therefore when you subtract, x becomes 250 minus 110 all over 2, which ends up being 140 over 2, which is equal to 70. 70 degrees becomes our answer. Number 10. Here AC to BC is 72. That means we can call this one as 7x and 2x. But notice that the AOB is the diameter. That makes the 7x plus 2x must be equal to 180. Now that means 9x is equal to 180. Therefore value of x must be equal to 20. That's basically what we end up getting. and CPA, that's the angle that we are looking at. So why don't we call that as angle P? Then here we end up getting 7x, which is equal to 140. P has to be equal to 140. We found it by multiplying 20 by 7 minus 20 times 20 becomes 40 over 2, which is equal to 50. 50 becomes the measure of the angle of CPA. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.